GrowCFO is where finance leaders grow together. Join thousands of like-minded professionals using GrowCFO to access the combined knowledge and experience of the finance leader community. You can join us today, growcfo.net.
Hello and welcome to the GrowCFO Show. I'm your host, Kevin Appleby, and today I've got another CFO from a non-profit organisation as part of our series on non-profits. So, Tinashe Chigede, welcome to the GrowCFO Show.
Thank you, Kevin.
Tinashe, you are the CFO of SOS Children's Villages USA. What's that organisation all about?
So we are a nonprofit. We were founded in 1949 by Hammond Miner. We are in over 130 countries, and we provide care, education, health services to children that are at the risk of losing parental care, and also children that have lost parental care. We serve over 2.5 million children and families each year, helping them build a stable and fulfill their lives.
Brilliant. That is quite a charitable objective. So, Tinashe, you're the finance person in this organization. Tell our audience a little bit about you. What's your background?
So I have a bachelor's in finance and an MBA in finance, and I've been working in the nonprofit world for over 15 years. And then I also went to an SOS Children's Villages primary school in Zimbabwe. So really, this is really an opportunity for me to give back to the organization that made me who I am today.
Okay, so this for you is the driver. It's all about giving back. So with all those finance qualifications though, Tinashe, are you never tempted to go and work for the big corporate?
No, not at all. This is a real fulfilling role. There are a lot of people that poured into me to make me who I am today. So for me, my mission really is to try to give back and also make a difference in children's lives, give them a better future, because there were people that were very instrumental to making me the person that I am today. So that alone right there, it drives me. It makes me wake up every day wanting to do this and make a difference in these children's lives.
Wow, and that really is something, wanting to wake up every day to do this. So how long have you been part of the organization?
So I've been with SOS, I think June 12th, I made it 2 years. I've been here for just slightly over 2 years.
But you're in non-profit before that?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so how's your role evolving over those 2 years? Are you becoming more strategic as time goes on?
Yes, I feel like initially it felt very operational. It was mainly just budgets, audits, and compliance. But over time, I feel like it's become deeply strategic. I'm now focused on aligning our financial decisions with long-term mission outcomes, guiding risk management, and shaping partnerships. But also, I spend more time communicating financial strategy with the board and helping them connect the dots between numbers and mission. So really just mapping our long-term future.
So if over the course of those 2 years, you've changed that role to be quite strategic, what have you actually done to do that? And I hear from non-profit and from profit organizations, a common complaint from the finance leader, they're not sufficiently involved in strategy. What have you done to make that happen?
So mostly part of it, diversifying our funding streams, like just really looking at the organization as a whole and seeing where we are, just looking at how many funding streams do we have. So looking at making sure that we have a solid footing. So with that, now I've been talking with the team to make sure that we're not just relying on 2 or 3 funding streams, but really trying to explain to them how diversifying our funding streams will help, and also communicating with the board, telling them and having a conversation with them, looking at different funding streams. For example, we didn't have government funding before. So now we've applied for government funding and we received some government funding. So things like that, we're looking at some other financial streams that we didn't have and trying to go for multiple funding streams, but also looking at our finances, looking at our reserves, looking to see like what reserves do we have? How long are they going to last us? So based on that, shaping our strategy to make sure that we have enough reserves to keep us going, and also being able to articulate to our funders, like, yes, there's restricted funding and unrestricted funding, but also showing them how unrestricted funding actually helps us solidify our core so we can give more to the programs that we support. So just things like that, just making sure that the organization is on solid ground.
So when you've been diversifying income streams, has that mostly been to increase unrestricted funds?
Yes and no. So it's also just trying to find other funding streams, whether restricted and unrestricted, because again, it's a fine balance between restricted and unrestricted, because you want to make sure you don't end up having silos. So by silos, I mean you have all this funding, but it's only restricted to a certain program or certain employees, but you still have other programs that you need to fund, but you can't fund that because you have restricted funding. So being able to articulate that to donors that you need to solidify your core so that you're able to do more for the different programs. So it's a fine line having to diversify between the restricted and unrestricted.
Yeah. So when you're looking for more funds, are you principally going and looking for donors, or are you looking at potential ways that you can bring in trading income to help the operation?
So it's a little bit of both. You have to look for more donors, but also building relationships or cultivating relationships with your current donors that you have, being able to tell stories and also show them the impact of their giving, and also looking at multi-year funding and recurring funding, because that really helps you being able to deliver to the programs that we serve.
So do you find yourself personally getting involved with the donors, personally talking to them and building a relationship?
Personally, I'm more in the background. I don't really communicate with the donors as much, but I'm more involved in, let's say there's an application for funding. So I help align our strategy with the budgets, making sure we're able to deliver what we are applying for and making sure that it aligns with our strategy. And also I'm involved with the post-award, the reporting, looking at the finances, being able to look at the budget versus actuals, being able to answer any questions, whether it's allowable or not allowable when it comes to expenditures. So those kind of things. So I'm more in the background. Then we have the development team that's more in contact with the donors, that communicates with the donors. But if a donor has a specific question or if they need more information, then that's when I'm probably brought in to be able to explain and answer any financial related questions.
So you're getting involved with grant applications, you're getting involved with the reporting side afterwards. Do you find that role is just finance, or are you increasingly having to look at information that's of more of a non-finance information? I'm thinking of, great, you spent the money and you can show what you spent the money on, but that doesn't tell the donor perhaps whether there was a successful outcome or not.
I'll answer your question now, like looking at KPIs. So for us as an organization, we track both financials and mission-driven KPIs. In terms of the donor, you want to make sure the fundraising return on investment is like for every $1 that you're using for fundraising, you're getting $5 back in revenue. But also on the mission side, you want to make sure your costs are beneficiary served. So in terms of the cost, how many children are we serving? Program efficiency ratio, just making sure like your program efficiency is over 75%, so that most of the funding that you're receiving is going to the program. So for every dollar that you're getting, 75 cents is going to the programs. And also outcome achievement rates, making sure your rates are quite high for the outcome that you promised that you're going to achieve with the funding that you got from those donors. So the intersection of impact and finance gives the full picture of our effectiveness. So being able to relate that to the donor, that really shows that the funds are being used well.
You mentioned right at the beginning of that, Tinashe, the idea of ROI being one of your key KPIs, and you talked about a 5 times revenue. Now, that doesn't sound very non-profit to me. Can you explain that particular measure, the ROI measure, a little bit more?
So for nonprofits, we need to make sure that most of the funding that we're getting is going mostly to programs. So you want to make sure that the amount that you're using for fundraising, you're also getting a high return. So it might not be 5%, but if it's 3%, 4%, 5%, for like a higher measure, making sure that you're not using a lot of money towards fundraising and you're not getting a lot in return. So our goal is to make sure that whatever revenue that we get goes to our mission. It goes to serve the children that we serve.
Yeah, so that you're not fundraising simply to raise some more funds to allow you to do more fundraising. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yes, because fundraising doesn't happen for free. You've got to put effort into it. You might have some volunteers doing it, but at the same time, you've got to spend money on that stuff. So yeah, I can see the real worth of saying, well, for every dollar we spend on fundraising, we want at least $5 in revenue coming in to support all our programs. And while ROI does sound a very for-profit measure, it has a huge place here in non-profit. That makes total sense, yes. So we've talked about expanding and diversifying income streams. To what extent do you think you've built a much more sustainable model going forward?
So right now we have funding from individuals. We have funding from corporate. We have government funding. We have funding from foundations. So we do not just have one or two funding streams. So I'm very confident that our funding model is very sustainable since we have multi-funding streams. And also we make it a point to also provide strong storytelling and donor stewardship to help us grow recurring revenue and deepen relationships.
So if you were giving top tips to another CFO who's struggling with a sustainable source of revenues and need to go through this process, what would be your sage words of advice to that person?
They need to be more involved in supporting fundraising. They need to help their development department connect the financial vision to the mission impact and ensure funders see transparency and accountability, which helps you build that trust with funders, like being able to share impact reports, welcome any questions that the donors might have, and openly communicate both successes and challenges. And then also make it a point to show donors the tangible results of their contributions. Where possible, they can have site visits, stories, and clear metrics, and not just see donors as just funders, but treating them as partners. That really goes a long way.
Yeah, get that completely. So you've managed to really diversify the funding base. You've managed to make the organization more sustainable. But just talking purely about cash, Tinashe, do you still find cash flow management is a big thing for you?
With nonprofits, yes, that's a big thing. That's actually one of your biggest challenges as a CFO in a nonprofit. So for us, we make it a point to make sure we have 3 to 6 months of reserves. We review our cash flow monthly. And we also do scenario planning to help us stay ahead. So we do budget forecasts to monthly budget forecasts to just see how the year is going to turn out. What months are going to have the highs and the lows to help us plan for that. But we also communicate closely with program leads to manage timing and avoid surprises.
I guess avoiding surprises is a big thing. And you're in the sort of area where probably you can never spend enough money. Actually controlling how much you're spending at any given time must be an issue.
It is, because again, you're dealing with limited funds. So you want to make sure that you plan ahead, you know what's coming, and you're ready for it.
So, Tinashe, it really sounds as though you've grown into this role and changed it and made it your own over the last 2 years. What's your approach to your own personal development been?
Just being able to learn. So learning the system, what's currently being done, but also after learning, trying to see areas that you can strengthen, areas that you can improve, and also looking for people that can mentor you. So for me, mentorship has really made me a strong CFO. It has really made me identify my gaps, my areas of strength, and then in turn, that has benefited the organization. So just being able to also adapt and also see what's going on, what can you change, what areas are you doing well, and being able to communicate with the board, with our team, and also with the donors, just making sure that the organization is on solid ground, but also helping shape our strategy and also having a clear path as to where we're going, where we want to be, but also looking at our past. What did we do well? What can we improve? So just being able to do that. So that has really helped me grow.
Yeah. So, Tinashe, you're part of our GrowCFO CFO program. Has that been a big contribution in that development?
That has been really instrumental in my growth, being able to take the classes that are offered, but also the one-on-one mentorship that I have. It has really helped me grow, see things differently, but also being able to have discussions with other CFOs, being able to learn what they're doing, the challenges that they're facing. And like my mentor, she is very knowledgeable. So being able to talk with her, have a discussion with her, and she's faced some of the things that I'm facing right now. And just being able to talk with her and being able to get her insights, and also just being able to look at some of the things that I've been doing and things that I could be doing better.
Brilliant. So if you were talking to another CFO right now who has maybe been thinking about taking on a mentor, what advice would you give to them?
I'd say don't keep thinking about it, do it. Because one of the things that gets you, especially if you are first-time CFO, is you get this imposter syndrome where you haven't faced most of the things that you are currently facing, but also your organization is depending on you to make the right decisions, to be able to be that person with all the answers. So knowing that you're not going to have all the answers, but also knowing how to go get those answers. So even when you don't know those answers, there's someone that knows the answers, or there's someone that you can reach out to, or you can go do that research. But knowing that you might feel like an imposter, but you got where you are based on hard work, and the people that put you where you are have faith in you. So just knowing that you can do it. And sometimes it takes mentorship for you to be able to unleash the best in you. So I'd say don't keep thinking about it, do it. For me, I've really seen a change in myself and how I deal with things on a day-to-day basis. So GrowCFO has really helped me be a better CFO. So
brilliant. It's always nice to hear a success story, Tinashe. But now you mentioned imposter syndrome there. How did that hit you personally?
For me, like I said, this organization, I went to school. My school was owned by, or is still owned by SOS Children's Villages. So being in this role, my first few days, I used to see myself as that kid in the school and thinking now I'm a CFO at this organization that made me who I am. So being able to overcome that and just not seeing myself as that kid, but knowing that now I have the tools to be able to succeed in this role. So that took me some time to overcome. And I'm really grateful for seeking mentorship, but also the support that I received from my team.
So having the right team around you is incredibly important.
Yes, it is.
So, Tinashe, 2 years into the job, how do you see the future?
I think the future is bright. I'm really excited about my job, where we are, and what we've been able to achieve. So I'm really excited about my future and also my organization's future.
Now, we've talked a lot about very worthy charitable purposes and causes, and a lot of the traditional things you talk about when you're talking about the nonprofit world. How are you seeing AI impacting you?
So AI, you have to know how to use it as a tool. And I think as a tool, it can really make such a big impact. AI used correctly can really do wonders. I think AI will be a positive tool for our organization, but also for the finance field.
Are you finding many finance uses for it at the moment?
Yes, I am actually. It really helps with ideas, but also with some analysis and also just being able to articulate things. So AI, it all depends with what you put in it. So being used well as a tool, it's very instrumental in our day-to-day activities.
I think so, yeah, absolutely. I'm finding personally different ways of using it every day. And I'm talking to so many tech vendors at the moment that are incorporating AI in various parts of their solution. And I think what we're going to see over the next 2 to 3 years is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. But I think because we're involved in worthwhile causes and dealing in our organizations directly with people, well, I don't think AI is going to put us out of jobs. I think AI is really going to benefit how effective we can be and what we can do. So I'm looking forward to it personally.
Me too, I agree.
So tell me about Tinashe outside of work, both when you're not working for the nonprofit.
So I love swimming and also cycling and just spending time with my family, but also traveling. So that's mostly what I'm about.
Brilliant. Any plans for this summer traveling?
Yes, I think I'm going to go visit a friend in California. So I think my family, I'm probably going to go to California for about a week and just try to relax.
Fantastic. Tinashe, thank you for being a brilliant guest on this week's GrowCFO Show.
Thank you, Kevin. It's such an honor.